Kia ora koutou, tara whanava. I wear several hats here today. I am a journalist, I'm a journalism educator, I'm a New Zealand born Pacific woman, and I'm researching in Pacific media and Pacific audiences. And it's with that last hat that I wanted to share probably some sort of insights out of some of the research that I've been doing with Pacific audiences here today, because I think it has implications for engagement in particular, but also the ways that we might think about the media and the future of the media. And one of the first things that I found in my research with Pacific audiences is an incredibly strong sense of alienation from mainstream media still. People don't see themselves represented in the news. It's not news for them, it's not news about them. They're consuming mainstream media, but at an arm's distance. It's where they're learning about the other people that they live with. It's not our news. And I think that has significant implications for what we're talking about here in terms of civic engagement. We already know that Māori and Pacifica have high levels of disengagement. We already know that Asian and Pacific groups have a lower sense of, or poorer sense of belonging, and I think that this isn't helping, and we should be really concerned about it, given that we know also that Māori, Pacific and Asian young people in the not too distant future will make up the majority of our youth. And so I think that we really need to prioritise in the mainstream media space looking at ways to diversify our personnel, diversify our storytelling and the content of what we are reporting within the news media, but also look at new models of media. And I really liked Jane's idea of NZ Inc. I think that newsrooms are becoming too small to attempt a lot on their own. I think that we need to be looking a lot more at partnerships. Journalism consortia, I think the idea of NZ Inc. is a really valuable one. I think there's a couple of models that maybe we could look at. You know, the ProPublica model, where we look to fund journalism projects. They might be investigative projects, they might be projects to help improve inclusive journalism across several news media. And we already dabble in that space. There's actually a lot of collegiality between different media groups. As a former journalist, I've been mentored by journalists across lots of different news organisations. We're quite agnostic actually at the ground level in terms of how we work with each other. Freelancers already network really closely and work in that partnership model. So I think there's a lot of space for improving on that and formalising that, maybe in the ways that we fund different journalism projects. I think also the public health research model offers ways of thinking about it as well, where in Pacific health research, for instance, you have to demonstrate the ways in which you are helping to build capacity of Pacific researchers. So maybe there are ways of helping to partner organisations, news media, and there's a commitment to helping to share training, whether that's in cultural competence for one organisation, or helping the partner organisation to learn new skills in terms of digital savvy, working in an online space, deeper investigative skills, that kind of thing. I think that we need to work a lot more collaboratively in the news media to improve our trust with our audiences, because what we're combating, I think, is that sense of alienation of huge swathes of our audience, and we're not going to be able to combat that on our own. We actually need to team up and partner and rebuild public trust with those audiences together. So that's my first point. My second point is I found that Pacifica say that they are falling into a bit of a hole in terms of news and information. On the one hand, mainstream media aren't talking to them or talking to them enough. On the other hand, Pacific media are quite constrained in terms of what they can do. And in the first instance, they're quite constrained in terms of the online skills that they have. They're often poorly resourced, they're small, they often rely on untrained staff. And if you look at various Pacific media, they're either not on social media. If they do have a website, it's often pretty rudimentary, it's broken, it's out of date, and I think that if that's the one space that Pacifica, particularly young people, are getting their news, again that's a worry because we know that they're online, and if the online models aren't speaking to them either, then we have an even bigger problem. And I know that there were comments made earlier that new media, social media, digital media, aren't the magic bullet, and they aren't in many respects, but that is where young Pacifica are looking for their news. So when I talk to people that are deeply concerned about climate change and they're looking for anything they can through Facebook, YouTube, Reddit, not through mainstream media and not through the Pacific media channels. So I think we have to actually think cleverly about how we take quality journalism into those spaces to serve the need and to chase the audiences where they are. And I think also we need to recognise that it's in those spaces where there's more opportunity for conversation, because it's a two-way media in a way that newspapers and linear broadcasting have never been. So that is where we can do more to engage and invite more participation. And again, I think that if we follow a model of partnership, then the concerns that we have about the fragmented audience through those spaces, we can start to address in a modest way by partnering with different people and different expertise into lots of different spheres across the social and online space. And the last point, I guess, is gets at the dual message that I had back from Pacific audiences, where there is a fierce loyalty to Pacific media, Tangata Pacifica, New FM and so on. It's our media. People feel really strongly that they recognise the service to our communities, and there's a strong sense of ownership of them, but there's also a sense of frustration with the content and the product, and that's partly around the fact that we have too few models within the Pacific news space, and they speak too much to one slice of the Pacific community. And if you think about it, there's often a priority given to cultural representation, language preservation, and there are good reasons for that, but when we know that more than half of Pacifica in New Zealand now cannot speak a Pacific language, we are shutting young people in particular out of that news conversation when we're funding only language media. So media like Samoa Capital Radio, for instance, which is hitting language targets of at least 80% of its programming in Samoan, shuts out many of the young New Zealand-born Samoans who cannot speak the language. Pacific newspapers, for instance, which are in language, fight an even bigger hurdle for young audiences, because someone might be fluent in their language as a speaker, but they can't read it. So that digital online space, even where the Pacific newspapers are getting online, they're not reaching the young people, and so we're getting people falling into a bit of a divide between two different spaces. And I think we need to start talking more with communities on the ground about what it is that they need, where it is they're looking for their news, and what it is they're looking for, to have a better understanding of how we could be tailoring to some of our minority communities in particular.